it's that time of year when we're thinking about Christmas, and sometimes people have those goofy Santa Claus, maybe they're not goofy, Santa Claus hats, the red thing kind of up on top of your head. Well, if you think of a kidney being your head, it's kind of a funny looking head, bean shaped. But if you think of that cap, that little cap on top there, that's what the adrenal gland looks like. It looks like a Santa Claus hat. So we have the adrenal glands that are located on top of your kidneys, and they're two glands in one. It's a common theme here, isn't it? They're two glands in one in reality. And so when we talk about the outside of the adrenal gland, it's the adrenal cortex. Cortex is outside, medulla is inside. Well, it ends up, if you're an embryologist and you're studying adrenal glands, you say, they're actually two different things that develop together, and it looks like that one Santa Claus hat. But it's not. It's actually two glands in one. Adrenal cortex on the outside, adrenal medulla on the inside. So the medulla is going to be secreting some of these sort of protein-based hormones, these non-steroid hormones. But when we talk about the cortex, we're going to be starting to talk about steroid hormones. So all of these hormones we've been talking about so far have been protein, the non-steroid hormones. And we're going to continue talking about non-steroid with the adrenal medulla, but then we're going to come to the adrenal cortex, and we're going to talk about 3 of them, but there's about 30 of these adrenal cortex hormones, but we're only going to talk about 3. All right, so when we talk about the adrenal medulla, we had said this is a hormone, this is an endocrine gland that responds directly to nervous system, nerve impulses. And so when you get really scared, really angry, you get a hit of adrenaline, right? And it's from your nervous system. But what happens is it causes the release of these 2 hormones called epinephrine and norepinephrine. Now, what effect do they have? So I'm trying to think, slide 15, I guess it is. It says the physiological effects of medullary hormones, adrenal medulla. So that's what we're talking about. What does it cause? It causes increased force and rate of heartbeat, causes dilation of your lungs, your bronchioles, burning of fats, lipolysis, raises your metabolic rate, dilates your eyes, and shuts down things like digestion. It's the fight or flight response. And so a movie, that most everybody knows, Jurassic Park, and, they had those monsters, the velociraptors chasing after them. They were experiencing a lot of these medullary hormones, right? And it didn't matter if they were efficiently digesting their food, they're going to be food themselves. So these hormones are all about preparing you either to fight something or get the heck out of there, run away. And that's what, so norepinephrine and epinephrine, similar functions. All right, so we have those from the inside of the medulla, of the adrenal gland, the medullary hormones. And then we said we have this layer on the outside called the adrenal cortex. And it ends up that we have these sort of 3 layers in the adrenal cortex. So, and there's one layer is producing mineralocorticoids, another layer is producing glucocorticoids, and another layer is producing gonadocorticoids. So, what does that mean? Mineralocorticoids are going to be controlling minerals, electrolytes. Glucocorticoids, sugar. Gonadocorticoids, sex hormones. Okay, so we have one. We said we're going to have you learn 3. We could have you learn 30. No, just 3. So of the adrenal cortex, the mineral corticoids, we have one called aldosterone. And aldosterone is going to be involved in retaining sodium. So aldosterone, so you have this electrolyte balance, right? And so you need, we just talked in the last chapter, we were talking about how you have to have sodium, it's the major extracellular fluid electrolyte, and we talked about potassium being the major intracellular. Well, it ends up, aldosterone is going to be involved in retaining sodium that would have been lost in the pee-pee, in the urine. And when you do that, though, in order to maintain the electrolyte balance, you have to put something else there in its place, and that's the potassium. So depending on what's going on in your body, and that's what's driving the release of this hormone, it causes you to retain sodium and lose potassium. So it's all about maintaining this electrolyte balance. And that its effect is in the kidneys, where you are losing electrolytes. By the way, way back when I was talking about antidiuretic hormone, this retaining water is happening in your kidneys as well, in these kidney tubules. Okay, so glucocorticoids. So glucocorticoids, we said it involves glucose. Now, it's not the one that you probably are thinking of. You're probably thinking of insulin and glucagon. No. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, they used to talk about it on TV, cortisol, that nasty little stress hormone. Isn't that a funny way of saying it? Anyway, so the reason there was somebody was selling something, really bad idea. Somebody was selling something to affect your hormones. And what they were targeting was cortisol. And they called it on those TV ads that nasty little stress hormone. And the reason, and why on earth would people buy something to control one of their hormones? Well, what it does is it causes you to hang on to sugar and increases blood sugar. And when you do that, you get fat. So you end up, excess sugar gets converted to fat and you store it away. So they were trying to keep people from getting fat when they are stressed. And I'm sure the FDA or some regulatory agency got involved and said, no, this is really a bad idea. But it made for an interesting story for my lectures anyway. So cortisol, when do you release it? When you're stressed. So cortisol is released in response to stress. And what does it do? Like, college students, they always talk about the freshman 10 or 20 or whatever that is. Talking about people when they go off to college, they start getting fat. Couldn't possibly be the beer and pizza. No, it's the stress. I'm sure it is. Anyway, they were targeting this stress hormone, which causes you to have a rise in blood sugar as a result of stress, and it's cortisol. Now, gonadotropins. So it ends up, whether you're a guy like me or a woman, I have both testosterone and estrogen in circulation. Mm-hmm. I bet you didn't know that. And it's because both of these hormones are secreted by the region of the cortex that is producing gonadotropins. So we are producing mostly testosterone, but there's a little bit of estrogen. So if you're a woman, you have some testosterone, and as a guy, I've got it from other sources, but I also have some estrogen. Okay. All right, we're going to stop here, and we're going to talk about the pancreas and work our way on down to the end.